Well, greetings, sim racing fans, wherever in the world you happen to be, and welcome to Multi-21 Racing Community's live stream. We're happy to have you with us. So today kicks off Season 6 of the Gr.4-80 series at Interlagos. It's a 4.3 kilometer or 2.7 mile circuit. Gets its name from the Sao Paulo suburb where it's located. Officially, it's called the Autodromo José Carlos Pace, but everyone knows it as Interlagos, of course. Your layout is counterclockwise, with plenty of elevation changes, which makes it a demanding course for the drivers. However, there are plenty of overtaking opportunities, particularly in the first corner and in the braking zone coming into turn 4. And that long straightaway means that slipstream is going to be a major factor in this race. So the track is sitting at over 700 meters or about 2,300 feet above sea level. And the air, of course, is thinner, meaning that downforce will play a major role in how well the cars handle. So let's have a look at the calendar for this season's series. As you can see, we're starting off at Interlagos. We have a twilight race, so we'll see a lot of headlights. Hopefully we'll get to see some of these beautiful liveries that the drivers are sporting. Next week we'll be at the Nürburgring in the afternoon, followed by Suzuka, San Croix, Brands Hatch. Then we have a car change that comes in the middle of the season, which this season is mandatory. We are trying to get people to change their cars and just not use the same thing. It seems that everybody in Gran Turismo Sport these days wants to use the meta car, and that just simply takes a lot of the fun out of it. I mean, if you're going to have the same car series, have the same car series. Otherwise, let's see what you can do in your other iron. So, the second half of Season 2, we head to Autopolis in Japan, then Road Atlanta in the southern half of America, where I come from. And we go to Sardinia Road, Alsace Village, and finally the Tokyo freeways. That is where the season will end. Hopefully we'll have a nice, close set of standings and get a whole lot of competition there toward the end. And speaking of the championship, let's take a look at last season's final standings. So if the drivers this season want to get through into the championship, they're going to need to get past some pretty solid drivers. Last season, our own James Findlay, aka M21 Big Easy 39, came in first place, followed by Craig Porter, followed closely also by Turgo Nybro, who unfortunately had a penalty and missed a race due to an injury, which set him back in his hopes for the championship. But it was a great series all the way around, featuring some terrific races by some great drivers. And here are the race settings for today and for the series. So as you see, we start out with a half a tank of fuel. There's also tire wear on, and that can vary from race to race. So drivers will have to be mindful of that. Some races there is very heavy tire wear. Some races there can be higher fuel usage, etc., etc. It keeps it very interesting. Slipstream is real. Balance of performance is on, of course. We don't allow tuning. The penalty settings are few and not severe, but severe enough to where they can change the outcome of a race. Shortcut penalty is kind of weak. We don't have wall or car collision. We do enforce the flag rules. However, today the pit lane penalty will be off, so that's lucky for many of us, myself included, who aren't great coming out of the pits. So the event's going to start off with a 15-minute practice period, which we're in right now, followed by one 15-minute qualifying round, and then an 80-mile race, which should take about 40 minutes. Now, several of our regular drivers have had life get in the way and needed to take some time off from racing, which means that those who did come to race could get a leg up in the championship. All right, let's get on to practice. Looks like we're in the pits right now with Nibro. Nibro has been a very, very difficult guy to get past this season. He has really found his rhythm in pretty much any series he races in. He is a top-notch driver. That said, so is his Viking counterpart, Juggalo Hulk, also known as Ivan. And I'll be calling him Ivan most of the time through the race because we know him. To my good fortune. But our other three drivers, they're no slouches. They can come up behind you and pick you off at a moment's notice. And don't let Captain Slow's name fool you. He's here to race. Looks like Nibro has picked up a penalty on his lap in practice. That before we'll buy you a couple of coffees. So folks, while you enjoy practice, I am going to check my balance and levels and all things having to do with sound, and I will be right back with you. Stay tuned. All right, folks, I apologize for that brief interruption. I just started using a new setup and I wanted to make sure that the sound quality was good. And I checked YouTube and I'm happy to report that it ain't bad. And we are about 1 minute away from quali. So get ready, folks. Let's get on board with Nibro. And let's take a look and see how he is handling practice. And I'm going to take away the bottom overlay for just a second so you can look at how he's set up and his speeds, braking, throttle, etc. So coming onto this shortish straight, you pick up a tremendous amount of speed here. He's braking just before the 50-meter mark, and not successfully. Sorry, Nibro. Let's see who else is running it. Yep. Looks like Ivan's... Oh, here we go. We're going to start quali. Everybody got dumped in to the pits. So quali has officially started. Justin is on the ball. So while everybody's doing their out laps, I'm going to change the view so we can take a look at some of these liveries. Everybody gets a livery bonus of a single point for creating their own liveries. Something we like to do here. And Nibro happens to be a very racy livery guy indeed. He's big on the stripes, the numbers, and even the advertisers. He's decided to go with a nice dark livery with some very interesting striping patterns. I like the star by your number 2, Nibro. And how about Ivan? Oh, Ivan's driving the vet. I've forgotten about that. Good choice, Ivan, says this American. Ivan's liveries tend to be very creative, often taking on a commercial format. One of his liveries is Wrigley's Spearmint Gum. Another one was Big Red. This one here seems to be getting away from that genre and just going into something a lot more original. It's another beauty. Nice paint combination. And Sam has gone for the basics. He's going to just stick with yellow in his Mitsubishi. And I see he is sporting Lando Norris's number. I think that is based on Lando's number. Although I have to say the livery looks like the old Renault. Nicely done. I like the black hood. Keeps the glare off. And here's Keith, our firewood man. Keith doles out firewood to everyone in the West Country. So if you live down there in the southwest of England, and you need something in your fireplace, check him out. And oh yeah, we do love the Aston. A nice kind of a sort of Ferrari red. And Justin is in the pit. We can't see his livery right now, but he has an especially interesting livery. Some of his favorite starlets from the UK. One that I enjoy tremendously. So I don't know if Juggalo Hulk had a little bit of an off there, if he was just trying to let his buddy past. I think that may have been the case. So far, our fastest lap is Nybro, no surprise, with a 138.4, which is a great lap for a Group 4 car. These roughly equate, well, actually pretty closely equate to the GT4 cars. So Nybro's doing a lot of tire squealing in his Genesis. And that Genesis has turned out to be a pretty solid car in this grouping. Ivan's knocked out a 138.7, which is a great lap. Think he can do better. Sammy's knocked out a 140.0. Keith's knocked out a 140.4. And we finally got Justin on the track. Let's take a look at that Lambo livery there. You see how the colors fade into one another? That's pretty boss. And there is Jenna Coleman in silhouette from Doctor Who. And Justin always has the number 7, and he's very cleverly put 7 on his livery like the movie 7. All right, let's see who's going down the front straight. Anybody? Not at the moment. So we're going to follow Nybro from inside of his car as he goes into the tight S's. Let's get on his front bumper cam and see what's what. It has a pretty good amount of tire wear on the fronts. So he should be getting a good bit of understeer. And some people love that. So we'll see if this works to his benefit. Okay, so Nybro has decided to back off and take it a bit easy as he drops a 137.9, so look out, folks. Meanwhile, Ivan has not been able to respond just yet. He's got a fair amount of tire wear, nothing too bad. It's also pretty even. But he has 8/10 to make up. It's no small feat. Meanwhile, Sammy is only 3/10 behind Ivan. He has just replaced his tires, so he's on his out lap. And with about 6.5 minutes to go, he is going to try to put in a screamer. Fire Woodman is just coming out of the pits now. Justin's back in the pits. And Nybro's taking a break. He's going to see what Juggalo Hulk has to offer when he comes around Ayrton Senna. Okay, the Hulkster's coming up the steep hill. Long straight. We're going into the pits. We are. So no flyer this time around. Guess he doesn't like those tires. So Sammy's about to finish his out lap. His tires should be up to temperature. And with 1.14 seconds to get to P1, he will definitely have his work cut out for him. I apologize for all the pops. That's the mute button on my mic. I'm going to try to find a different, quieter way to do that. Because I'm old and I cough a lot. Okay, Sammy's on his flyer. Unfortunately, I can't see his splits. That would be a nice addition if anybody at Polyphony Digital is listening. If we spectators could have the splits, that would be awesome. Let's drop in the bottom overlay. Hey, Robert. Wish you were in here, Glava. We could use another car. Alright, so Sammy looks like he is not going to improve on that time, unfortunately. Now, meanwhile, Keith is looking to beat a 140. He's got about 4 seconds to go if he's going to do it, and it looks like he's backed off a little bit. So with just about 3 minutes to go, it looks like Nybro is the class of the field and a very tough person to beat. Because he is up on Juggalo Hulk by nearly a second. Oh, don't do that. Nybro's giving Ivan a little bit of the okey doke with his headlights. Yeah, I know, Nybro. It was funny. He is definitely going for the torque that big V8 has to offer. He's keeping the gears real high because he knows he can get out of the corners fast in high gear. You can just hear that low grunt that this thing has. It's just magnificent. If you've never been in an actual Corvette, I highly recommend doing it at least once. They build those things in Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is just about 7 hours from where I live. Oh yeah, this is looking pretty good. Now, unfortunately, he looks like he's going to be picking up about a 140. Yeah, 140.6. And with just 1 minute to go, he's going to have to make this one count. This is quite a fast corner here. You can see he's taking it in fourth gear, really giving it the beans. Conversely, this is a very tight one, and I find it interesting that he's able to get around this in second and third gear. But again, just using all the low-end grunt that big V8 has to offer. He's getting through those tight turns nice and clean. Now you just gun it. until you get to this roughly 45-degree corner, and then straight up the hill with a couple of little curves. So it looks like Sammy just set a 138. And Fire Woodman just set a best time. We will check in on them as soon as Nybro finishes this lap, and still isn't able to better it as we approach the end of qualifying. Flash your lights again, Nybro. Oh, too late. Alright, my mistake. Sammy put in a 139, but he's been putting in solid 139s. That bodes well for the race. If he can maintain that kind of consistency, we should be seeing a good finish from him. Okay, last chance, Ivan. Give it all she's got, Captain. There you go. Nice and tidy. I don't know, it looks pretty good, Ivan. You're hitting all the right shift points. Will it be enough? Ah, it doesn't look like it. Still, good lap. Good lap. Yeah, that picked you up 2/10. So great run for all of them. So as you can see, we have Nybro taking P1, 137.98. Juggalo Hulk follows with 138.59. Sammy with the 139.1. Fire Woodman with 140.2. And Captain Slow has not posted a time. So there's your order, folks. The race will begin in about 2 minutes. And sorry about all the creaking. I really need to get a new desk chair. So we're going to pause for a couple of minutes while drivers change their tires and use the loo. So as mentioned earlier on, if you're just joining us, this is our Gr.4-80 Season 6 calendar. This week, of course, we're at Interlagos. Next week, you can see us at the Nürburgring. And that race will be live streamed as well. God willing and the creek don't rise. That'll be an afternoon race. And as you can see by the calendar, our schedule here shows the race times. And we like to throw in a couple of little options. So we'll have a twilight race tonight. Next week's is in the afternoon. And then Suzuka's a night race, which is one I've never done before, but it sounds interesting and it kind of makes me wish I were driving in this series. But I am going to sit behind the microphone instead. So we followed that up with Saint Croix, Track A. Then Brands Hatch, one that everybody loves. All right, let's get to the race. And we are off. We got Nybro in the lead, but Hulk has got great positioning on him and takes the lead around Senna. That is a great place for an overtake. You know, everybody wants pole position, but if you get P2 at this track, it sets you up beautifully if you're able to get a good start. And Ivan took full advantage of that. So to reach the fifth turn, everybody gets through cleanly. No rubbing, no bumping. So everybody's looking good going into the tight turns. And so far it's a three-way race for the lead. And Juggalo, Hulk, Nybro, and Sammy all virtually nose to tail, coming into the penultimate corner. And Hulk takes up just a little bit of dirt. They come flying up the hill. So this slipstream train should be making for some very good times. Let's get the standings up. So as you can see, all three drivers at the front are within a second of each other. So good tight racing. And Captain Slow's giving us a little flash of the lights with his controller. Sapphire Woodman's trying to make a race of it. Trying to stay in that slipstream of Captain Slow's. And it's making good time on him. Got less than half a second gap. So Ivan's still in the lead. It looks like Sammy's fallen back just a little bit. So at the moment, it's Viking on Viking. Oh, hey, Robert. Thanks for watching the stream. Yes, my wife likes to watch movies on TV that sometimes make me rather want to watch racing. You see Ivan's bro. Oh, Nybro gets a little bit of a bobble there in Senna. It sets him back just a little bit. He's still within a second, but he is dropping slightly. Still in the slip, though. And that has improved Sammy's chances. Oh, and Sammy just gets a little bit too much of that corner. Comes in a little bit too hot. That's just dropped him back a couple seconds and got him a half-second penalty to boot. The Nybros pick up about a 10th on the leader. Getting a little glitchy. So from the bumper cam, you can see just how close they actually are. We go into Hulk's car and look back. You get an idea of what Ivan has facing him coming up the hill. All right, so across the start finish. Ivan puts in his best lap, the best lap of the race, with a 1:38.2, which I think beat his qualifying time by a good bit. And mind you, that's in free air, no slipstream. Yeah, Nybro's still almost a second back. So Ivan has clearly brought a good car to this race and a great attitude. Hello, Marky. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining the YouTube and the chat. But somehow, Ivan is really picking up the pace. I don't know that the Corvette is that much better a car than the Genesis. This may just be one of those things where he's just getting his feet and finding his way around the track in that new car. But this is an interesting development. Meanwhile, Sammy's dropped back about 6 seconds from the leader, but with a 12-second gap on Justin. And Justin and Fire Woodman are going at it, with just a half a second difference between the two, and it has been this way all race so far. And right now, Fire Woodman is looking for a way to sneak in, and he is about to come up to a very good place for an overtake. As Justin flashes those lights again. Just one of those funny little quirks about driving on a controller. When you turn those sticks, oftentimes you'll hit that button that flashes the lights. Not only is it fun to watch, but it can be a little off-putting for the guy in front of you. Yes, Mark. Ivan and Nybro are definitely thanking their lucky stars that you're not here. We were missing the class of the field, buddy. And we know life gets in the way sometimes. Meanwhile, at the front, Nybro has picked up about 0.4 of a second. And as they go up the hill, he's going to have the advantage of slipstream if he can stay close enough. And he is not fading. It looks like the Corvette maybe pulls the hill a little bit better. But we will see which is the better handler. And at the moment, it's looking like the Corvette may be a good handling car. Good job, all you folks in Bowling Green, Kentucky. You have made yourself one heck of a car, at least in this sim. He is now past the 1 second mark. Oh, and he gets a little bit wide, though. Gets off on the curb, gets a little slippery. And that loses him a couple of tenths and really lowers that gap. Meanwhile, Firewoodman's in the pits, getting rid of those hard tires. And Nybro is closing in that Genesis. But the Corvette is looking really good in the corners. And Ivan is great at getting rotation out of an FR car, as is Nybro. I don't know, these boys must practice together or something, because they are very well matched in any race you see them in. Those Vikings got to stick together. And they are stuck together. So Firewoodman's pit has put Captain Slow all out by himself with a 15-second gap to Sammy. But Sammy's pitting too. Sammy's going to drop the soft tires. Tire changes are mandatory in this series, and you must use all three compounds soft, medium, and hard. So while Sammy gets a tire change, let's check in on Keith. About 1:15 behind, primarily due to his recent pit stop. And he's on his out lap, so he's going to have to approach this rather gingerly. And Keith, I think the Aston was a fine choice, since that was also my choice in the Gr.4-80 series. I love that car. So Nybro was just a second behind, but picked up 0.3 in a heartbeat. So Ivan's tires may be going off. Yeah, his racing softs are getting pretty worn out. As are Nybro's. Nybro's right front is almost gone. It's about more than 3/4 of the way gone at this point. So these boys are going to have to come in for some new rubber in the next lap or so. So we got Nybro putting in a lot of 138s, a 139, and then his last lap was a 141, which tells me his tires are really getting knackered. That said, Ivan's tires are nearly as gone, but he has been putting in solid 138s and 139s. So clearly Ivan likes that car. He can make that Detroit iron work for him, or in this case, Bowling Green iron. I can't stress that enough that those cars are made in Bowling Green. I love Bowling Green. I have family in Bowling Green. So Steve, Frank, if you're listening, hi from your cousin. Yes, Mark, we miss you. So if anybody's on the chat, oh, there we go. We got somebody diving into the pits, and it is Ivan, which I believe is a smart thing to do. Nybro tends to stay out on worn out tires. He's an excellent race driver. And his right front, even though it's completely gone, is not holding him back completely, though it isn't looking great, if I'm honest. And as he approaches this steep left, we'll see if he can keep it on the track. And he just does. And coming into this fast right-hander, he is losing a little bit of grip. But this is what's going to tell the tale. So when he makes this left-hander, he will have to be delicate on that throttle. And he just makes it around, gets a little bit of extra curb, but he's none the worse for it. Now here's the sharp uphill left-hander. And he is sliding, but he's maintaining grip. He's getting pretty good speed. I don't think it's going to be his best lap, but he's got to be coming in. And he is. Finally. So that puts Justin in second place. I don't think Justin's going to make the pit delta. And his tires, he's on hards right now. His tires are still in pretty decent shape. His right front and rear are a little bit more worn than the left front and rear because you're on an anti-clockwise track. So it's going to happen. Let's see, is he going to do the pit delta? He does, and Captain Slow goes into the lead. So much for Captain Slow. Oh, thanks, mate. Mark says in the chat, it sounds fab. That is nice to hear. Because I spent as little money on this stuff as I possibly could. Because I'm a pensioner. You know, we don't have any money. So, fantastic start for Justin. Sticking with those hard tires. And keeping himself out on the track for a good long time. I dare say a 7.5-second lead isn't necessarily going to hold up, but it could put him in very good stead for a podium, at the very least. Let's see what Sammy's doing in the Mitsubishi. Just bebopping away, 10 seconds in front of him and 26 seconds behind him. He's getting to run in clean air. Putting down decent times. He's got a 142 in there. Looks like he may have had a bit of a spell, but overall not bad. He's running on medium tires at the moment. The fronts are showing significantly more wear than the rears. Comes down that hill, heating his brakes right up to about 2,000 degrees. He's getting a good bit of understeer. And Firewoodman's picked it up a bit. He's picked up 30 extra seconds. Slowly making his way toward the rest of the pack. This is a great looking car, Keith. And there's Justin still in the lead, just 5.2 seconds up on Nybro, who is 11 seconds up on Ivan. I apologize for not being able to see what happened in that pit exchange, but Nybro now takes the lead. And Captain slows off into the pits for his mandatory tire change, getting off those hards, with only 3 liters of fuel left, too, so he milked that for as long as he could. That puts Ivan back in second place, but with a great little head-to-head going on with Sammy. And Sammy pulls into the lead, gets a half second on him. So clearly something has happened with Nybro, or excuse me, with Ivan. Now, Ivan is sitting on medium tires right now, so maybe it was the softs that were helping him get around those corners so well. And Sammy, meanwhile, is on hot medium tires with a fair amount of wear. So it isn't the difference in tires that's making Sammy go fast. This is just pure racing grit at the moment. And Juggalo Hulk is looking for a way in, trying to sneak past that right quarter panel of Sammy's car. Staying right on his bumper, umbilically connected. He's trying to get that inside line, but that car is just not going to let him. Just not quite enough grip. There's Sam just patiently holding his line. Ivan's still looking for a way around. And with just 0.2 of a second separating them, they're coming into a great passing zone. So let's see who gets the inside line. And Ivan tries to sneak in. Somehow maintains his spot and spins out, gets too tight onto the curb and just spins his car, hits the railing, and that is really going to set him back. So off goes Sammy, pulling away to a 5+ second lead, comfortably into second position. And Ivan's regained his car and his composure. And he's back on track, thank goodness. Picking up a little bit of speed. It's so easy for things to go wrong in that corner, especially if you're nose to tail or side by side. In that position, it can be a little bit difficult for the other car to see you. And Sammy did give him plenty of room. Ivan was just, I think, trying to be a little extra careful so as not to knock his buddy off the track. That's the norm in Multi-21 racing. We try not to knock each other about. There's enough of that, of course, going on in the daily races. So we try to be sporting as possible. But you still have to do good, hard racing, and these guys are demonstrating that. But at the same time, sometimes you'll give just a little bit too much space. You'll take a little bit too much of the inside. Maybe catch a little dirt. Or in the case of Ivan, you'll catch a little too much curb. And that will take you right off the rails. So Captain Slow's picked up a 0.5 second, and he's got pushed back into 4th position. And Firewoodman gets past him after he serves his penalty. So that puts Keith in 4th, and that puts Captain Slow in his slipstream. It looks like he's trying to get the inside line on him here into Senna. Can't quite make that work. And he took the right-hander just a little too tight. Let's see if that costs him a penalty. No, it looks like he escaped. He took just enough of it without going over. So, good on you, Justin. Let's take a quick look up at the front and see if there have been any changes. So, Ivan has picked up several seconds and slowly but surely is closing in on Sammy. You can see his headlights. And Sam has picked up a 0.5 second. This could change the complexion of the race thus far. Let's get back to the race within the race. And Justin remains in the slip. Both of the guys taking the corner very tight, very neatly. As we approach his fast left-hander. And Captain Slow is ever so slightly closing. And Keith Firewoodman is trying to hang on to some very, very worn out tires. And Justin's mediums look very good indeed. And Justin looks like he's going to take the outside line here. Gives us a little flash. Working that controller hard. And just gets a nose in, which is just enough to get him around that left-hander and into 4th place. So that'll put Firewoodman in the slipstream. But those tires are going off, and he is going to want to change those pretty quickly. Meanwhile, Nybro has pulled to a 21-second lead. And I've just run out of coffee. And now, speaking of a race within the race, we have got Ivan right on Sammy's tail, looking for a way to sneak past into the left-hander, and he does. And on up the hill he goes with Sammy in his slip. Takes second place. For how long remains to be seen, though. Well, Sam's going to go pit now. Yeah, his tires are gone. Great race all the way up until that pit stop, Sam. Ivan's mediums are looking good. Nybro's mediums are looking pretty good. Fire Woodman's are all but gone, so he's going to stop in the pits for some new shoes. Captain Slow's tires look great. Hi, Justin. Flashback at you. So that puts Ivan, Juggalo Hulk, all out by himself with about 23 seconds on either end of his car. Meanwhile, Keith is just coming out of the pits with a fresh set of medium tires. So Keith has gone through all of his compounds now and does not have to make another tire change until he wants to or has to for wear. And Sam is now on his brand new Racing Hards. So he should have a good long stint. As we are just past the halfway point of the race. All the cars are pretty widely separated at the moment. So, why is it called Interlagos? Well, if you know anything about Portuguese or Spanish, you know that lago is lake, and so it literally means between the lakes. In this case, the two lakes are artificial lakes called, I'm going to try this one out, Guarapiranga and Billings. I don't know how a lake got named Billings in Brazil, but there you are. And those lakes were built in the early 20th century to supply the city of Rio de Janeiro with water and electric power. And the name actually comes from the suggestion of a French architect and urban planner by the name of Alfred Agache. And it was named after the Interlaken region located in Switzerland. The name of the track is now officially, starting in 1985, José Carlos Pace, who was a famous Brazilian F1 driver who unfortunately perished in a plane crash in 1977. The first Formula One race began in 1972. It was a non-championship race, and even though it was in Brazil, it was won by a neighbor, the Argentinian Carlos Reutemann. And the first World Championship race followed the next year, 1973. That, as appropriate, was won by Sao Paulo local Emerson Fittipaldi, and I'm sorry, it wasn't Rio de Janeiro. That's in Argentina. I mean, that's in a different part of Brazil. It was Sao Paulo. Yeah, it's the Interlagos region of Sao Paulo. Pardon me. So the track has been changed several times since 1972 and its inception. So the track surface at one time was very bumpy. The barriers were inadequate, to say the least. It was full of ditches, embankments, all kinds of things that could prove very dangerous for race cars, particularly for Formula One cars, which are squirrely at best in the old days. But this track has made for some great racing in the past. So as mentioned before, this track is very hilly. It sits at about 2,400 feet or 700 meters above sea level. And it was built in a hilly part of the region. So this track can be not just tough on the drivers, but tough on the cars as well. Puts a lot of strain on the transmissions. Fortunately, we don't have to worry about things like that in sim racing. But in real life, these cars go through a lot of stresses. A lot of heat, a lot of wear. Another factor at this track that can figure into a lot of races is the weather. It's not uncommon for a huge rainstorm to just crop up with very little notice. So you can go from a nice, warm, dry track that you're seeing right now to a torrential rain that makes it all but impossible to drive. And yet somehow they do. And some even manage to stay on track. The city of Sao Paulo is also known locally by the nickname Land of Drizzle. So wet weather is most definitely not uncommon. So Keith has dropped about a minute and a half back. He is currently on some good medium tires. Sam's racing hards are working well. Still lots and lots of front wear. Justin's on the medium. They're about half worn in that Lambo. His wear is good and even. Obviously lots more wear on the rights than the left because of the direction of the track. It tends to be a very left-turny track. Ivan's medium tires are just about gone. I'm going to say he probably has 2 laps left in those bad boys. Nairo's right front medium tire is just about obliterated. You should see some smoke coming off of that if he stays out another 2 laps. But as mentioned before, he's somehow able to find grip on tires that should by all rights have none. And boy, Justin does look up for it tonight. Look at that, sitting there in the catbird seat in the third position, final podium position. It gives us a nice little pop in the exhaust for good measure. That is one thing about night races that's just so much fun, is watching that flame shoot out of the exhausts. You know, I'm only 90 minutes from Circuit of the Americas. I need to get up there. I haven't seen a race in too long. I would encourage you, if you haven't been to a live race or haven't been in a long time, get out and see one. This is a lot of fun, and you don't want to miss sim racing. Sim racing is a good time to be had on the couch, but there is nothing like a live race. Just the smell of the exhaust, the noise, the crowd, just everything about it just rings. As Justin picks up a half second for some naughtiness or another. Yeah, don't flash your lights at me, Justin. I saw what you did. So Justin will be serving that penalty in a few. Let's see what Ivan's up to. It's still putting down solid lap times. Even on medium tires that are pretty worn, he has been putting down very regular 140s. Just that 142 halfway into the race. That little slip he had that dropped him down to third. So Ivan's coming in. Nybro has come in. Nybro is off on his hard tires, so he has met his tire requirement with just 8 laps to go. Ivan's getting off the mediums. I'm going to assume hard tires. But let's see if he changes his mind about that. And Justin's in the pits to get off of his medium tires. And yes, indeed, Ivan has taken hard tires. So he should be going the last 8 laps on those. So he and Nybro are on the same strategy, tire-wise. And Sam, whose racing hards are in pretty good shape, is now picked up 3rd position, taking it from Justin. And Justin exits the pits on soft tires. Those should last him to the end of the race as well. So let's see what he's able to do on some good soft rubber. Keith's on mediums. They're still in pretty good shape. So with a 27-second lead, it would appear, unless there is a major incident, that Nybro is going to walk away with this one pretty comfortably ahead of Ivan, who's got a 13-second lead on his nearest competitor, which is Sammy. Now, Sammy's done great in that Mitsubishi. I was not expecting that car to be as competitive as it is, but he's making it look very fast indeed. It is getting a little squealy on those half-worn hard tires, and the wear is almost entirely in the front, so he is going to have to fight a lot of understeer. Meanwhile, Justin in the Lambo is now on warmed up soft tires, and once he crosses the start-finish line, he should start putting down some solid laps. We're going to need some laps in the 139s and 140s for him to make a go at Sam. with so little time left. But Sam looks like he may need to make one more stop unless he can save those tires, which is quite possible. But this isn't the easiest track to save tires on. So Sam is going to have to put everything together that he knows about saving tire wear if he's going to make that podium position. So with about 12 and 13 seconds on either end, let's take a look and see what Ivan's up to in that Corvette. With warmed up tires, he should be putting down a nice solid lap time. He and Nybro have been super consistent, putting down almost identical lap times, very different machinery. So unfortunately, Justin's picked up another half second. He is on soft tires. He should be making some good time these next few laps. Unfortunately, with a half-second penalty, that'll probably give him 2 seconds to the wrong on the other end. Meantime, Keith is putting in some pretty good times, lots of 140s. Not the kind of consistency he might have hoped for, but in general, really good times. Everybody's driving pretty fast tonight. Okay, so Nybro puts in a 140 on those hard tires. Great time. While Ivan has put in a 141.9. So that'll give Nybro an even bigger cushion, as if he needs one. All right, with 5 laps to go, we've got Nybro comfortably in front by 31 seconds, followed by Ivan, 14 seconds ahead of the next podium position, which is Sammy, who has 10 seconds ahead of Captain Slow, who is not looking slow, if I'm being fair. He just put in a 141.5, but that was with a half-second penalty, so that ain't bad. That would equate to about a 140. Yes, Mark says, the Lambo's spitting fire is epic. I couldn't agree with you more. Makes me jump out of my seat just a little bit every time I see it. Let's watch some more of that Lambo as Captain Slow picks up about a second on Sam. Now, Sam is on very worn hard tires, particularly the right front. So he'll be fighting that understeer like we said before. Justin is on very fresh, very warmed up soft tires. So he should be able to put together some solid laps. And with 4.5 to go, if he can pull 2 seconds a lap better, he could be in line for a podium. So nice and easy around the corners, Justin. You got this. Meanwhile, Fire Woodman is picking up the pace a little bit. He's still on medium tires. He's still pretty worn out. He's putting down 142s, 141s. Not bad at all. Especially given his tire wear. And Nybro puts down a 139.8. Well, Ivan's last lap was 141.2. So he's definitely struggling on hard tires in that Corvette. Just a big, heavy FR car. Not great with slick tires, or I should say with hard tires. They're all slick. And Sammy puts in 142.9 on worn out hard tires. So great lap. If you could see what these tires look like. In fact, I'm going to show you what these tires look like. Let me hide this bottom overlay. Just look at the condition of those hard tires. I mean, it's astounding he can put a lap together that solid with such worn out rubber. And it's all in the front. So super understeery. As you can see, Ivan's on fresh hards, but not doing him a whole lot of good in that vet. Nibro's putting down 139.8s, 139.5, also on hard tires. But it seems like the Genesis is just much better equipped to handle a slipperier tire. So as we approach the final actual turn, and not just some little high-speed bend, Ivan has his work cut out for him. Okay, crosses the start-finish at about 230 kilometers an hour, and drops another 141. So clearly just not able to make it happen with those hard tires. Meanwhile, Sammy does not appear to have any intention of pitting on any of these last 3 laps. He's just going to struggle away on those hard tires. And as he does, Justin has picked up 3 seconds on him in a single lap. And he is closing. And he is closing rapidly. About 1/10 at a time. Nice flash of the lights, pop the exhaust. Heading up the hill. And heading into the first slow curve. Nice and tidy. Next slow left-hander. Neat as can be. Now here comes the tight one. This requires a little extra braking, and as you can see, those brakes heating up. And takes it just about perfectly. And gets full on the throttle as he exits. As Sammy picks up a half a second, this could bode very well indeed for Captain Slow. As Nibro goes into the pits. I guess he likes that delta. And he's out. He must have taken a splash of fuel. And here comes Justin, looking for that podium position with 7/10 behind. Going up the hill into Senna, trying to get on his left quarter. Just can't quite make that happen. No, he does. He gets around him. It's dark. I missed it. So well done. That puts Justin on the podium. Potentially. With just 2 laps to go. We've now had a switch. So now Ivan is 6.8 seconds behind. Still on the same tires. No stop for fuel. Okay, Ivan just got on soft tires. I don't even think he did a splash and go. He just changed tires. So he's aiming to finish out his stint on softs. And I don't have any insight into each person's tire strategies unless I actually go look them up. But yeah, he changed to soft tires. I think hoping to stay on track, not have a mistake, take him off. Eat more carrots. What's up, Doc? I think he thinks the Lambo's not getting enough fiber in its diet. Well, for all you watching live, I really appreciate you sticking with us. This race is on its final lap. We're going to stick with Nybro. As he comes flying up the hill and into the fast right-hander. Let's take a look at Justin. So Justin has pulled away from Sam, who just tried and could not make it on those worn-out hard tires. He gave it a heck of a shot, and that was really his only way to make the podium, was to be able to hang on to those tires. Pit stop would have just ended any possibility of it. So it was a good idea, and really the only idea, if he meant to get a podium. So Justin's comfortably in the podium position if he can hang on. He doesn't even have to work that hard to get to the end. And there's Nybro for the win, with a 1:38.2 just to top it all off. Doesn't quite make Ivan's best time, but he comes darn close. Gets within 15 thousandths of it. Ivan takes second. Justin's making his final turn, coming up the hill to the start-finish. And with a near 7-second lead and a big flash of the lights and a little bit of a dance, Justin crosses the line in the final podium position. And here comes Sam. Great race. Unfortunately, the tire strategy didn't quite work out, but well done indeed. And here comes Fire Woodman in that beautiful Aston, coming around the final turn. Couldn't quite get it done today, but had a cracking race, had a couple of really good battles, particularly with Justin. And he crosses the line to come in fifth. Well done, gentlemen. Excellent race. Would have been nice to have more folks, but I thoroughly understand that life sometimes will get in the way. Congratulations to Nybro on his victory and his pole position. And well done by all the drivers. Great racing today. Really appreciate everybody joining us for the live stream. If you didn't get a chance to see the entire thing, it's all going to be on YouTube. So I'd like to say, on behalf of the Multi-21 racing community, thanks for joining us. Hope you have a happy and safe week. And stay fun, people.